All right, today we're going to talk about measurement. Please make sure your notebook is open to the next clean page. Today's date is the 11th, and our title is measurement. Okay? Today we're just going to talk about measuring in inches, and most of you probably are pretty good at measuring with our rulers, and we're going to make sure that we're on the inch side, which is the red side. Later in the week we'll talk about centimeters. So today we're going to talk about inches. This is a ruler, and it goes from 1 inch to 12 inches, and 12 inches equals 1 foot. So this is 1 foot. You can kind of think of that as a fraction, and 1 foot is 12 inches, so there's 12 parts. So my denominator would be 12 because there's 12 equal parts. And then however many you have would be the numerator. But just to think about that with fractions. All right. So today I want to just show you how to measure with a ruler. And to make it easier, I made my ruler a little bit bigger. So of course we know this is not an inch, but we're just going to pretend that it's an inch. And I have some things that I'm going to measure. The first thing I'm going to measure is a book. And the thing that you need to make sure and always look at on your ruler is where the 0 is or where to start to measure. Some rulers have a 0 and there's a little space left on the ruler. Our ruler does not. There isn't a 0, but you would line up whatever you're measuring right to the edge of this ruler. Some rulers you would measure in a little bit. You have to always check that first. Okay? When we look at this, we're going to line our book up right to the 0. Okay? So I'm going to put it right up to the 0, and I see that my book ends right about here. Okay? And when I look at that, that is closer to the 2. So I'm going to say that my book measures about 2 inches. Now remember, this is not really an inch. We're pretending. Okay? But here's my number, and there's my abbreviation. You can write it out, inches, or you can just write the IN and a period, but you have to have a label because I won't know what you're measuring in if there's no label. So please make sure that there is a label on every answer that you give me. All right, I want to take a look here just so we can do a little more measuring. Measuring to the nearest inch is pretty easy, and I think you guys are really great at that. But I want to take a look. I took this area right here, and I made it bigger, and I expanded it over here. And this is our hole now, from 0 to 1. 1 inch is our hole. I cut that 1 inch into 2 equal parts. Here's the halfway point. So now I have half here and half here, just like fractions. So when we're measuring in inches, we can cut our inches in half to make our measurements more exact. This was pretty close to 2. When we're measuring something that maybe is shorter or longer, we want our answer to be more exact, we can measure to the half inch. Okay, that's called measuring to the half inch. And here's my half inch. So here's another ruler that I made, and this time I put in my halfway points. So this is a half, this is a half, and this is a half. Okay, so this is the whole, here's half. Now I have 2 holes, but here's a half. And then I have 3 holes, and here's a half. Okay, so just you have to keep in mind what we learned about fractions to help us measure. So the next thing I want to measure is my very cute picture of my family. And I'm going to put it up. Again, making sure that I'm lining up the edge onto the 0 line, wherever it is on your ruler. If there's no 0 line, like on this, you know that you're going to go right to the edge. So I'm going to take my picture and I'm going to line it up. And I can see, when I look at this, that I have 1 whole inch and half more. So I have 1 whole and 1/2. To write that, I'm going to say 1.5 inches. Here's my hole that took my picture up, and then it was a little bit more, so it ended here. Remember, this is a whole inch. I have that whole inch. Here's half. I have half of another inch. So when I put it up, I have 1.5. The last 2 things I want to measure are lines that I've already drawn up on the board. And this is what you're going to do in the Now You Try. So I have a ruler for everybody, and I have a paper that you are going to then measure, and you're going to have to write how long the line is. So let's practice. So I'm going to line it up right to the edge of my line, and I'm going to look down the end, and I see that it is closest to the 6. So my line is going to be 6 inches. Okay, you kind of have to estimate if you're in between the 6 and the 7. Are you closer to the 6? Are you closer to the 7? Just think about which way you're closer to. And also, if there is the half line, which there is on our ruler, then you could do it to the half. So here, I'm noticing that it comes to it's 8 and a little bit more, and it looks like it's right at the half line. So I'm going to say that this is 8.5 inches. Okay. On our ruler, there's the inch line, then there's a little teeny tiny line, and then the half line. Don't worry about the teeny line. Worry about the line that's halfway. So we have the 1, a little line, don't pay attention to that, and then the half. And then a little line, don't pay attention to that, and then the 2. That's the 1/4 of an inch, and we'll talk about that at another day. Okay, so today you are going to try to measure to the nearest inch or the nearest half inch. Okay, now it's your turn to try